Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a game that I just started playing that I'm really excited about. It is System Shock for DOS. This game is awesome. I was reminded of how much I love cyberpunk stuff by playing through Cyberpunk 2077. So I just finished that up, and I kind of like wanted to go right back to some classic cyberpunk that I had never actually experienced. So I popped in System Shock on my old Windows 3.1 machine, and had to look up what commands to be able to run. Had to do some boot disk magic, a lot of stuff that they detail for you in the documentation for getting started with the game. Let me go through, show you guys. So yeah, they actually have like a quick start guide. Yeah, the install guide. So you kind of have to like walk through this and make a boot disk and basically like set it up according to the settings of your computer. So you have to like figure out where your config.sys and your autoexec.bat is and modify those files, which ended up taking me like a day to figure out how to do that because I'm not very good with DOS. So that was like its own whole journey, but it was totally worth it because this game is awesome. Like I have another machine with Windows 95 and Windows 98, but if you have a GUI, you can't play this game for some reason because I think some of the memory addresses that it writes to are ended up being used by like Windows. So it just like crashes unless you're running it in DOS. So like I couldn't get this to work for the longest time. Didn't try that hard, but so then when I dug into it, I realized that you have to play this stuff on DOS. So unfortunately, if you want to play this game in its original form, you will need a computer that is still running a version of DOS. And I'm assuming you could probably play it on DOSBox, and I think that this game is even on like Steam and GOG, so it's accessible, but you know me, I always like to play on the original hardware, so playing it on like an original PC was really important to me. So really enjoying it. It's a little bit it's surprisingly modern, actually. You can really see like a lot of newer PC games kind of like embodied here. This game is from like, I think this game was originally released in like in early 90s. So this is a later version. This is the CD version, but originally it was released on floppies. I think they fixed some bugs and added like full speech to this version. So this is a good version to play. It's cool. I mean, the full speech is awesome. The story's really neat in this game too. You're basically a hacker who gets hired by this corporation to take the ethical constraints off of this AI, and you do it, and then you're like, you have this surgery and you get this neural implant, crazy like neural implant for hacking into the net. But then when you wake up, the station, the space station where the AI is living, that you were brought to kind of like hack into the AI and stuff by one of the corporate guys named Diego. There's definitely like an intro video that explains this a lot better than I am. And you wake up after your surgery for the neural implant, and like the space station is like a wasteland and nobody's alive. So basically you have to like navigate the space station and complete like missions from like external sources that basically like want you to stop the AI. The AI is trying to like destroy Earth. The AI's name is Shodan. So it's really good. It's really like next level cyberpunk, totally like William Gibson, you know. It's neat. It's really good. And I've been playing it with this strategy guide. And the strategy guide's really cool because it kind of like navigates it in like a, or narrates the walkthrough in like a third person character that they made up that like died going through this process, I guess. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a Johnny Silverhand type thing that they did, which is interesting. So anyways, back to the game. The gameplay is very like very modern, I would say. You play with like, you don't use WASD, but you use WSD and then the button under S, which is X, to go back. So it's like a variation on the more modern controls, which you can kind of get used to pretty easily. And then there was something that like took me a while to figure out, and when I was playing it on one of my newer machines, I never figured this out. But like when you play the game, and anyone who's ever played System Shock will know this, it starts you out in like a windowed mode. And the windowed mode is like, I mean, there's a huge border with all these like buttons for all the menu options around. And it's like, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. But there's an option for full screen. So you can like full screen it and it looks awesome. So anybody who does play this game, click that full screen option. It took me like 3 hours to figure that out. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. It is an old PC game, so it's kind of like you're left to your own devices. So I wasn't using a guide initially, and then I kind of found this guide and I like it, so I'm trying to figure out where I am in the guide, which is proving to be somewhat difficult. But I'm trying to get through it. I like the game a lot. It's just sometimes when I don't know where to go, I get like frustrated with older PC games. So I definitely need to follow a strategy guide if I'm gonna want to actually complete this game. So but yeah, for those of you who have never heard of this and are kind of interested in it, I would wait. I think there's going to be an actual remaster coming out like this year, where they're giving this game like a full-blown remaster treatment, and it's going to be like, it's going to be awesome. So I would just wait and check that out, and then if you're kind of interested in that, you could go back and play this on GOG, or I don't even know if it's on Steam anymore, because I think the remaster is all that's available. So I'm not really sure. Definitely available on GOG. Not sure if it's available on Steam anymore, but totally worth checking out. I mean, this is just one of those like excellent games that just really pervades throughout. I mean, I'm playing Dead Space on my Steam Deck, and playing this and playing Dead Space, it's like, holy crap, these games they're so similar. Just like System Shock was really the precursor to like all of these cyberpunk, you know, space adventures, you know, that in 3D first person, crazy environment, crazy like adult story. Yeah, it's just a really excellent game. So for those of you who are fans of the cyberpunk genre and have never heard of this, I would highly recommend checking this out. Highly recommend it. I mean, it's just really, really neat. Like, the controls are fairly intuitive. I mean, it's just like, the top and the bottom row of your keys kind of have different functions, like looking up and looking down, leaning to the right, leaning to the left, crouching. So I mean, it's got like all of the modern control mechanisms that you would expect from like a shooter, which I was very impressed with. And once you get past the WASD thing being a little bit like inverted, I think it's fine. I do believe that they had joystick support for this game. I was thinking about getting a joystick, but then I got used to the controls with the keyboard and mouse, so I'm just gonna stick with that because I like it. Feels good. It feels surprisingly good. So overall, I think that this game has aged very well. I think it's a great example of just of how mind-blowing like an older PC game can be. And I wish there was like more stuff like this. I wish there was like a cyberpunk game for DOS that like was kind of like this, but this is pretty sweet, so I'll take this. I mean, this it's got so many like little tie-ins, like the hub of technology in America is like Atlanta, like it is in Neuromancer. So there's nods a lot of like cyberpunk works, and it's just a neat game. You kind of like, you have to go around this space station and you pick up logs and you get information from the logs. So I mean, it's like every other space station catastrophe game that you've played, like, you know, Doom 3 reminds me a little bit of that. Dead Space kind of reminds me of that. I mean, it just has a lot going for it. And then obviously, apparently 2 is like the best. Everybody says System Shock 2 is like one of the best games ever, and that's like the precursor to Deus Ex, so like, which is another great cyberpunk work. So the legacy of this game is pretty awesome. So that's why I wanted to kind of talk about it, give my first impressions, why I think it's significant, why I think it's cool. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about System Shock. Are you a fan of it? Have you played it? Are you excited for the remaster? I'd be excited to kind of hear what your thoughts are. So let me know in the comments. Definitely like, subscribe, and let me know what you feel about System Shock. So thanks again for checking out this video. Thanks again for coming down to Brian's Basement. We'll see you next time.